Welcome to the Kemetic How-To Guide for Egyptian Pagan and Kemetic practitioners. I'm your host, Sharon. So, it's summertime, the kids are out of school, and you need to give them something to do. Or maybe it's a different school break, and you need to give them something to do. Or maybe you need something cool to do that has an Egyptian theme to it. Well, Kemetic How-To to the rescue. We're going to give you some fun and easy altar crafts. And just so you know, we're not talking like that kind of craft. We're talking decoration crafts. Now, before we get started, let me give you some background on this topic. See, several months ago, I fell down a YouTube rabbit hole watching videos on DIY Diwali decorations. Diwali, of course, being a major Hindu festival. And you may be familiar with Hindu altars and the decorations that they have for them that include these beautiful flower garlands, often of silk, in imitation of marigold and rose flowers. And I can show you an example. And that got me to thinking about Egyptian art, which often shows garlands of lily and papyrus flowers, both of which are a little hard to come by for most of us, in the world outside of the Nile Valley. Actually, in some places, it's illegal to import Egyptian blue lily because it's considered a narcotic substance. Fun fact. But we have plenty of common household materials that can be used to make our own modern versions of Egyptian floral garlands. And to demonstrate just how easy it is to make these, I'm going to enlist a test subject. I mean, a volunteer. So to start off, you're going to need red yarn, construction paper in blue, purple or light blue, yellow, red, and optional green, scissors, glue and or clear tape, and a pen or pencil to trace with. Now, we know from illustrations that the ancient Egyptians used cord that was red or madder colored because you can see the ends of them in the paintings. And so the first thing you're going to want to do is cut some string that's a few inches longer than the length of the actual garland, so you have something you can tie with. And pick out the space that you want to decorate and use your yarn to kind of test out what length you'll need. And remember, you don't want to hold it straight, you want to let it droop a little bit, however much you want your garland to droop. And if you want a thicker cord than just a standard piece of yarn, you can go a couple of ways. You can use what they call rug yarn, or you can take standard yarn and just get 3 strands and braid them. Just be aware that the longer your garland strand is going to be, the longer your yarn is, the more involved it's going to be to braid it. Now we get to make our templates and trace them onto construction paper over and over again. If you're doing this with kids, now would be a great time to use division of labor and let the older ones trace maybe while the younger ones do the cutting and gluing. Adapt to their skill levels and give them the chance to teach each other. And if you need a pattern for our lily petal and our Persea fruit shapes that you'll be seeing, I've included a full-scale template on my Patreon page at the $1 level. So hey, I mean, how many things can you get for $1 these days? Well, you can get a pattern to make your own garlands. So let's get to work. Now, once you've got a bunch of lily petals in dark blue and either purple or light blue, it's time to make the garland. You start by folding the flat end of a dark blue petal over the yarn and glue it or tape it down. The next petal is going to be your alternate color, your purple or your light blue. Tuck its edge in just under the edge of the first one so that you have a little bit of an overlap. The third petal is going to be dark blue again, and it overlaps on top of the second. Keep alternating with your light color underneath and the dark blue on top until you're across, then you've filled out your garland. Once you've done that, we can start to add some interest. We're going to make drops that are whole water lily shapes, and these are circles for rosettas, but you can also use the Persea fruit shape. And of course Persea is the Eshed tree. That's a sacred tree that had a fruit that when it was fully ripe was kind of an orange, or they sometimes color them red. The actual tree, Mimisops laurifolia M, is a rather rare species. It grows it's native to Yemen and the Horn of Africa. I believe there's a botanical garden in Cairo that has one, but good luck getting them over here. I would love to know more about possibly growing them here because the fruit is edible. As it is, it's only native to that part of the world, so most of us are not going to see a real Persea fruit anytime soon. But we have our little shape to represent it, and that's going to be part of our garland. As before, you're going to trace and cut your shapes. You're going to need 3 dark blue petals and 4 of your light blue or your purple petals, and then 1 sepal shape. That's the back part of the flower. And you have 1 sepal and 1 fruit shape for the Persea. The Perseas are easy. Just put the sepal shape on top of the pointed end of the fruit shape and glue it down. Lilies take a couple of steps. First, you're going to put 3 dark petals in an angled shape, sort of a trident, with the ends overlapping at the bottom, and glue them down. Then flip it over. Make sure you're working on the back. Then you're going to put 2 purple or light blue petals between each pair of the dark blue petals. You're going to glue them in the back. Don't use too much glue because the more glue you use, the wetter it's going to get, and it's going to have a wave to it when it dries. The final step is to flip it back to the front and you glue your yellow sepal shape down at the bottom. And you're going to use it to cover the ends. It'll make sort of a point at the bottom. Now to assemble your drop, you're going to take some string about 18 to 24 inches long. I knot it at the bottom to make sort of a stop. Then you take your shapes facing down like this and you tape them to the back. Then you can take it and you can put it to the ends of your garland. You can also make drops to just put wherever in the room or, around your altar. And at that point, you're free to use whatever length you want, any configuration you want, because I have, red shape or Persea, lily, Persea, lily, but you can add more, do them in a different order. Use it to fit the shape that you have of your space, whatever it is. And you see, this would be really excellent, not just to decorate your altar, but for a Kemetic holiday. As I'm taping this, Upet Runpet is our Egyptian New Year. It's right around the corner in mid-July. Others, of course, celebrate it in August. What better thing to do to celebrate the season? You could also use it to decorate for Opet or for other occasions. It would also be excellent for a social studies project, a tie-in. If you're a teacher or you work in a library and you want to do a themed display, things like this would be excellent for that. And for you advanced crafters, you can take the same patterns and cut them into felt and then stitch it down. And then you can add beads to the front and have something a little more long-lasting. If you make the version with the felt petals, it's actually a wonderful way to decorate a cantorito jar. And this actually echoes something that the ancient Egyptians did. Apparently they did it so much that they would paint plain pottery vessels with a lily garland design around the neck because they just really dug those. So this is a way to make your own. And for you folks who might be doing something with the kids, here's a variation once you've figured out how to make your water lilies for your drops, you can also use them to make a placemat. You take 2 lilies and 2 Persea fruit. I had Darren do a version with a mandrake fruit, which is yellow. I've included that on the template as well. You arrange them with the points together, so they form kind of a cross in the middle of the paper. You let it dry, then you take it and you laminate it. Instant placemat. You can even have the kids decorate the construction paper base beforehand. If you want to let them write their names in hieroglyphics somewhere on the page, or maybe on the back of it, so that they, can know it's theirs, you can really, make something out of it. And this would be something fun you can have them do. If you are pagan and you celebrate with your kids, that would be a great way to include them for holidays. If not, it's, again, a great way that you can tie into a history lesson, social studies, that kind of thing. Summer camp, you name it. This is an opportunity to really let your creativity go wild. And if you do homeschooling and you're interested in maybe having a version of this tutorial or other videos for homeschool groups, please reach out to me. Comment on YouTube. Those of you that are on Discord, things like that, get a hold of me, because I'm interested in doing more videos specifically for homeschooling, for educational purposes, and this is kind of a first step. It's easier for me to present it here to you guys and talk about it as fellow pagans, and then say, okay, this is how we present it for the non-pagan folks. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, be sure to subscribe, and if you really dig it, give us a super thanks. If you do that, Kid Ptolemy might do a super happy dance just for you. You can also join our Patreon peeps. As I mentioned, this month you'll be able to get the pattern for our project here. We're also doing a special that's going throughout the year. If you subscribe at the top 2 levels, you'll be getting stickers and mini posters and t-shirts every 3 months. It's kind of a thing that we're doing so that even if I happen to run a little late getting an exclusive video out or something like that, you will still get something cool for sticking in there with us. And of course, you'll get updates, pictures of work in progress, and little things as I develop them, like the pattern for our garlands and our lily drops. And of course you also get, early access and outtakes and fun things like that. So there's lots of good things to experience if you join us for the ride. And I hope that this has been an educational and entertaining video, and it gives you something fun that you can do with other folks. So, for the Kemetic How-To Guide, this is Sharon wishing you Synapti.
Enjoyed this video? Then be sure to hit like and subscribe to the Kemetic Independent channel. You can also buy my books on Lulu.com, and special thanks to all my Patreon supporters. Join us for updates, outtakes, and exclusive videos only on Patreon. Check the description for links.